I hope we're not taking water into that trailer. As long as the floor's good, we'll probably be all right unless it flips it over.
Catastrophic meteorological event is unfolding across the state of Mississippi as the combined forces of newly upgraded Tropical Storm Arthur and a stalled, moisture-rich frontal boundary have unleashed an unprecedented deluge. Torrential rainfall measuring between 10 and 18 inches has fallen within an incredibly short window, completely overwhelming municipal drainage systems, causing river basins to burst their banks and turning major interstate highways into raging rivers. A formal state of emergency has been declared by state and local officials for multiple jurisdictions, with the city of Picayune and surrounding Pearl River County operating at the epicenter of the crisis. Emergency management agencies, local law enforcement, and the National Guard have been deployed to conduct high water rescues as hundreds of residents find themselves trapped in residential neighborhoods. The crisis began escalating early this week when a broad area of low pressure over the western Gulf of Mexico, previously designated as potential tropical cyclone 1, rapidly organized over exceptionally warm Gulf waters. The system officially intensified into Tropical Storm Arthur, packing sustained winds of 50 miles per hour and moving at an agonizingly slow pace toward the northern Gulf Coast. While the storm's wind field has caused localized structural damage and widespread power outages along the immediate coastline, it is the system's astronomical moisture profile that has proven lethal. A deep atmospheric conveyor belt of tropical moisture has slammed directly into south and central Mississippi. Because the storm system is moving at less than 5 miles per hour, training bands of thunderstorms, where heavy rain continuously develops and moves over the same geographic areas, have set up a permanent residency over the state. Meteorologists from the National Weather Service, NWS, have reported rainfall rates exceeding 3 inches per hour in the hardest hit zones. What we are witnessing is a worst-case meteorological scenario, said an NWS severe weather forecaster. The soil was already saturated from late spring showers, and now we are dumping an entire season's worth of rainfall onto the state in a matter of 24 to 48 hours. The water simply has nowhere to go. The sheer scale of the flooding has affected millions of residents across various topographies of the state. Below is a detailed assessment of the primary regions experiencing severe impacts. Picayune has borne the brunt of the atmospheric assault. Following an intense overnight bombardment of rain, municipal leadership issued an immediate local state of emergency. The Picayune Fire Department, assisted by state wildlife agents utilizing flat-bottomed boats and high-water vehicles, have pulled over 80 individuals from submerged homes and stranded vehicles. Major thoroughfares within the city limits are completely impassable. Most notably, Interstate 59 near Exit 6 has seen water levels rise over a foot across all lanes. Both passenger cars and heavy 18-wheeler commercial trucks have been forced to abandon the highway, leading to massive multi-mile traffic gridlocks. Neighborhoods adjacent to local creeks and low-lying drainage basins report water rising up to the mailboxes, flooding first floors and destroying personal property. Further south along the immediate coastline, the combined effect of Tropical Storm Arthur's storm surge and heavy rainfall has paralyzed the twin cities of Biloxi and Gulfport. In Keesler Air Force Base, the vital military installation has issued a mandatory shelter-in-place order for non-essential personnel. Multiple interior arterial roads within the base have been officially designated as entirely impassable due to deep standing water. The iconic coastal highway and surrounding commercial districts have experienced severe flash flooding. Innumerable vehicles have been stalled and abandoned in casino parking structures and resort access roads. Local business owners are frantically utilizing sandbags, though many report that the sheer volume of water has bypassed temporary barriers. Directly east of Biloxi, the community of St. Martin is facing extreme transport dislocation. The crucial highway interchanges connecting Interstate 10, I-10, and Interstate 110, I-110, were completely shut down by state troopers after floodwaters rendered the ramps completely invisible. This closure has effectively severed one of the primary east-west transportation arteries of the southern United States. The Escatawpa area has seen significant residential flooding. Local tributaries are rising at historic velocities, forcing spontaneous evacuations of mobile home parks and low-lying residential subdivisions. Bordering the Louisiana state line, Hancock County is grappling with severe rural and semi-urban inundation. Emergency management teams have officially blocked off Spears Road, along with dozens of secondary collector roads due to catastrophic structural washouts. Bridges over local bayous are currently being monitored for structural integrity as swift currents violently debris slam the pylons. Tidal push from tropical storm. Arthur has prevented local rivers and bayous from draining into the Gulf, creating a severe bottleneck effect that is pushing water miles inland into residential backyards. Over 45,000 customers without electricity across South Mississippi. Energy providers have requested patience from the public, noting that utility trucks cannot safely deploy bucket lifts to repair downed lines until sustained wind speeds drop below 30 miles per hour, and floodwaters recede sufficiently to allow safe access to transformers. The Mississippi Emergency Management Agency, MEMA, alongside governor-led task forces, has issued unified directives to ensure the preservation of human life. Strict adherence to turn around, don't drown. The overwhelming majority of flood-related fatalities occur within vehicles. Drivers are strictly warned not to underestimate the depth or velocity of moving water. 6 inches of fast-moving water can knock an adult off their feet. 12 inches can easily float and sweep away a small passenger car. Residents living in mobile homes, substandard housing, or historically flood-prone zones are strongly urged to proactively relocate to designated county shelters before nightfall cuts off evacuation routes. Standing floodwater in urban and suburban environments carries extreme hidden hazards. These include raw sewage contamination, displaced venomous wildlife, such as cottonmouth snakes, displaced fire ant colonies, sharp submerged debris, and highly dangerous downed live electrical wires. Meanwhile, the short-term outlook remains profoundly concerning for the Magnolia State. The National Hurricane Center, NHC, predicts that Tropical Storm Arthur will continue its slow crawl, meaning the fire hose of tropical moisture will not shut off immediately. Flash flood watches remain strictly active through the latter half of the week for all of southern and central Mississippi. An additional 3 to 6 inches of rainfall is entirely possible before the storm system begins a projected northeastward turn toward the Atlantic seaboard. We are not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination, stated a state emergency official during an afternoon press briefing. Even when the rain stops, the rivers will continue to crest for days. We need every citizen to remain vigilant, stay off the roads, monitor local broadcasts, and prioritize their personal safety above all else. Tropical storm. Arthur formed Wednesday off the Gulf Coast of Texas, becoming the first named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. The storm developed near the middle of the Texas coast, about 40 miles from Port O'Connor and 190 miles from Lake Charles, Louisiana, according to the National Hurricane Center. It was traveling northeastward with maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour, which just cleared the threshold to be considered a tropical storm. Minimal changes in strength are forecast as Arthur makes its way toward and, potentially, onto land, the National Hurricane Center said. But the storm is expected to speed up while its center moves either along or over coastal Texas at some point on Wednesday. After continuing on its track into southern Louisiana, Arthur is expected to turn inland before weakening. Regardless of Arthur's progression, the National Hurricane Center warned the storm would continue to bring heavy rain and flooding to a vast stretch of the southeastern United States, from Houston to Atlanta. In an advisory, forecasters said the storm was expected to cause life-threatening flooding and powerful winds in parts of the region. tropical storm warnings were in place from High Island, Texas, to Morgan City, Louisiana, meaning tropical storm conditions were expected in those areas within 12 hours. A tropical storm watch was also issued from Sargent, Texas, to High Island, which means tropical storm conditions were possible within the same time frame, but not necessarily guaranteed. Arthur started developing earlier this week as a tropical disturbance in the western Gulf of Mexico. It emerged and strengthened as coastal communities in the path of the storm contended with ongoing bouts of intense rain, which triggered dangerous flash flooding in multiple states. Arthur will likely dump 5 to 10 inches of rain on sections of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, along with western portions of the Florida Panhandle. They also warned that storm surge could reach 4 feet above normal levels in coastal areas that normally stay dry, depending on the timing of high tide.
That sucks, it's in that boat.